OG Fortnite was a phenomenon on its own. You most likely got nostalgia just from the beginning of this video. Even if you didn't play back then, it probably made you feel like a kid again. Coming back from school, booting up your Xbox One or PS4, loading into Fortnite, and hearing that iconic Season 4 music in the main title screen, logging into your account to see this beautiful sight, and hopping on to play with the boys. It was genuinely something else. Back then, it didn't feel special, but nowadays, it feels like we crave to have this feeling again. And today, I want to help revive those classic feelings of Season 4 of Fortnite, but to do that, we'll need to log in and go back. Season 4 began with something extraordinary. As in the prior season, if you looked up in the sky, you'd see what appeared to be a meteor, and this would be the beginning of the Fortnite storyline, as that meteor crashed onto the Fortnite island, changing the landscape of the island and the landscape of battle royales. And this season officially started on May 1st, 2018, and with it brought new mechanics, like Hop Rocks, an intriguing consumable item where once you consume it, you gain the low gravity effect for a short period of time. It may not sound like a lot or anything special, but back then, this was revolutionary. These new Hop Rocks were primarily located at the new Dusty Divot location, which was wrecked because of the meteor's destruction. No longer were the days of classic Dusty Depot drops. This was the time of devious Dusty Divot dives. You don't want to know how long it took for me to say that without stuttering, my gosh. Dusty Divot was primarily a hot drop at the beginning of the season for most players, and along with the addition of Dusty Divot, we also got fan favorite POIs like Risky Reels, the Hero's Mansion, and the Villain's Lair. Overall, there weren't many changes to be had when the season released, so let's chat about the changes we got as the season progressed, that being the updates. On May 8th, just a week after the season launch mind you, we received Fortnite's first official Marvel collaboration, that being the Infinity Gauntlet LTM. How it worked was at the beginning of the game, the Infinity Gauntlet would fall out of the sky and crash land onto the island, and if a player were to go to the gauntlet and capture it, they would be sent up into the sky and would turn into Thanos, then skydiving back down to the ground on the island. And as Thanos, you would be gifted the powers of all 6 Infinity Stones to destroy your opponents and get the victory. Sounds simple enough, but this was the starting point of collaborations for Fortnite, and would later be looked back on as being one of the greatest LTMs of all time. Then later on May 16th, we received epic and legendary variants of the Burst Assault Rifle, as well as the new consumable, Apples. And on May 22nd, we got the new Jetpack, as well as the Solid Gold LTM, which, not too long later on May 30th, we got 2 new LTMs, those being Blitz and Teams of 20, as well as our first technical vehicle ever in Fortnite history, that being the shopping cart. As well as another new consumable item, that being the Shield Mushroom. And once more on June 5th we received the fan favorite Bouncer item, and on June 11th we got the Sniper Shootout LTM, as well as the 50 vs 50 LTM, which also included in this update was the debut of the Thermal Scoped AR, only coming in epic and legendary rarities. However, a fun fact about this weapon was that on its debut, it was actually labeled as Assault Rifle with Scope, later changing into the Thermal Scoped Assault Rifle. That wasn't the only change in this update though, as they also vaulted the newly added Jetpack. Once more, on June 19th, they added the new Final Fight Teams of 20 mode, as well as the Stink Bomb, an infamous item to this very day. And again on June 27th, we got even more new game modes, that being Playground and Final Fight Teams of 12, as well as the addition of dual pistols. A weapon that at the time was cool, but nowadays is regarded as trash. And the final update for the season took place on July 3rd, adding the drum gun weapon to the game, a memorable and universally praised weapon. Overall, the season lasted for 71 days and currently on Fortnite.gg is ranked as number 9 with a positive rating of 76.47%. Overall, regarded very highly as a season, but let's talk about it a little bit, and why it was so good. Now, before I talk about it, I would like to hand it over to Excetraz to give his opinions on the season.
The original Season 4. This season has to be in my top 3 seasons of all time, even amongst all the new content we've gotten over the years. The loot pool is Fortnite at its best, the collaboration with Avengers Infinity War was fantastic, and the Battle Pass. Oh, the Battle Pass. Omega, my favorite skin, is in this pass, so obviously I'm just a little biased here. But one thing that's really striking to me about this season is the map. This season only got one really big map change, and that was the hole in the ground at Dusty Divot. Dusty Divot is a great location. I love how it's inspired by crash sites that you would see in movies, especially the Mjolnir crash site in the first Thor movie. And you can get out of it with hop rocks, also adding to the great movement of the season and chapter 1 as a whole. This couldn't be said about another hole in the ground. Looking at you, Wilds, looking at you. What I really want to talk about though is those small little mini map changes, which are all too rare in our modern day Fortnite. The hero mansion, the villain base with the rocket, the prison. All these make up a small tiny part of the season, but they add to it so much by giving the map character during its superhero season. The villain base is probably my favorite out of all of them, and it's probably why I love the grotto from chapter 2 season 2. It's just a giant hole in the mountain you can fall to your death through. It has tons of levels, and sometimes it feels like a dungeon to traverse through. But in all, I feel this is a great map. Though it does lack biome diversity that later chapter 1 seasons provided, there's something that feels really nostalgic about how this map looks.
I believe the love for the season comes down to a few variables, first of which being the community. At the time, the community was in an extremely healthy state. There were no arguments, no needless complaining, and everyone was just happy to experience the game for what it was. They didn't need anything special. And another reason for the love of this season is the time period of which this season took place. Chapter 1 is universally loved and praised, and while most people would just say that you're blinded by nostalgia and that we didn't get many updates, that is inherently incorrect. If you paid any attention to the dates when I mentioned updates for the season alone, you'd notice that we had so many updates that held significance and added so many features to the game. So many, in fact, it was quite astonishing really. And not only that, but people were content with these updates. While some people say that the only reason the seasons get any love is because of nostalgia, that's inherently wrong as well. Yes, nostalgia is a factor for most people, but you can't deny the sheer amount of content, and the quality of that content. And most people don't love the season because of nostalgia for it. I believe most people love the season because of who they were and what life was like when they played this game. They miss that childlike wonder of getting a scar, the fear of getting to a top 10 situation, and the reward of winning the game and getting that famed victory royale. It doesn't hit the same, because as humans, we aren't the same as we once were, and we miss that feeling. We don't miss the game, we miss who we were as people when we experienced the game. So overall, with all aspects of the season being considered, I'd rate the season a solid 7 out of 10. Was it perfect? No, but it holds significance, and I think it's safe to say that without this season, Fortnite would not be in the same state that it is today. But what would you rate season 4? Let me know down in the comment section below, and thank you to all of the amazing channel members. Once again, your support truly means the world to me, and the fact that you all have given me this platform astonishes me, and I'm thankful for it every day. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, have a lovely night.